Folks, I finished turn 8 for the Russians. I haven't gotten to the French yet, so I thought I'd film what happened when the Russians took their turn. They got initiative, of course, so I'm going to cover that. But in the strategic phase, there was successful orders received by the French cavalry, which are down here up on the hill, if you remember, holding that position. They have orders to support the 2nd Division of French infantry up here. We'll get to that in a minute. So their orders did get through. Skirmish combat. There was very little skirmish combat going up here because of the limited number of units involved, but there was some. Basically no effect. Down here on the farm, however, there was some very effective skirmish combat that went the way of the Saxons and the French. Because this division of Russians is engaged with not 1, not 2, but 3 enemy divisions. They're engaged up here now, if you remember. Their skirmish capabilities were massively outnumbered because they're dealing with 3 opposing MFs, and their combined skirmish combat ability was applied against them. So in that case, they lost dramatically. They took 2 hits from skirmish combat, and I believe this unit up here on the hill took 1 of them, and I believe this unit down here in the farm area took another one. So there was some effective skirmish combat on the side of the French. During the tactical phase, again, the Russians won the initiative. They declared charges, almost like a last-ditch attempt to get some kind of momentum going for themselves up here. Both their grenadier battalions charged their opponents, weathered some musketry fire from the enemy, but managed to get through. Unfortunately, this unit of grenadiers that did contact this French column was defeated and is now broken, and they're out of the battle. So they lost the combat. They made contact, but they failed to win the melee. These French are regulars, by the way. Up here, the grenadiers were joined by their divisional commander, gave them a little inspiration. Going into the combat, they did take some casualties from combined musketry fire from the enemy French that they were charging, and this unit over here as well. They did take some loss. They took a CV damage. They were disordered as a result, but they did survive. They made contact with the enemy and did take the position, so they forced the French battalion to retreat. As you can see back here, they are broken and out of the battle. So yeah, the French took some damage over here in this area, but so did the Russian grenadiers. So now the only thing holding this position is a disordered battalion of grenadiers. That's it, with their divisional commander intact. And by the way, this division did pass their MF morale test during this strategic phase. So yeah, that was passed. Now over towards the middle area, as you can see, let me zoom in there a little bit. I don't want to zoom in too far, it gets kind of blurry. This area saw some musketry exchanging going on between the lead front battalions and the Russians' cannon. Like I said during the skirmish phase, this Russian unit did take a loss. It's down to 1 CV, which is not good. But otherwise, it moved up and issued some fire. This column back here and the cannon also issued fire from their current position. This unit back here also took a CV hit from the French. They're down to 3, I believe, which I didn't mark yet. And they are joined by Tuchkov himself. So Tuchkov is getting involved here. While I'm at it, I better roll for him becoming a casualty. Now, the unit itself, the battalion, took 1 CV loss. That means there's a 1 in 6 chance on a D6 that Tuchkov himself was hit. So if this comes up a 1, he will be hit. So it came up a 6. So he's not hit by any of the shooting going on up there on that battalion. So that's how that works. Pretty simple. If it came up a 1, what would happen is you'd go to the rules, there's a table, and you'd roll on it to determine if that guy, that commander, was killed or if he's out of action for a few turns or whatever. But that didn't happen. He was not injured by the incoming musketry fire from the French. So that's the situation on the center of the area. This objective is still held by the Russians. The French are about to take their turn. They'll probably advance and do some fire. The cavalry here will be interesting, since now they're in a order to support the 2nd Division of French. They might actually get into action, maybe hit a flank of these grenadiers, but it's a bad position right now for the Russians, right here in this central position. Not looking good. Now over here, we've also got some stuff going on. If you remember the grenadiers that were holding this hedge line earlier, holding back these Saxon units, they were broken in the shooting phase, and there they are right now, running for their lives. So the veteran grenadiers are out of the battle. They lasted quite a while. They're heroes, that's for sure. They did hold up that flank in that position very well. But otherwise, the Saxons are now free to advance, and they've done so. This unit here took some skirmish combat loss in its CV. Its commander, its divisional commander, is attached to it. It's down to 2 CV, and it issued some ineffective fire against the advancing Saxons. Also over here, I don't think there was much shooting here. Everything's pretty much out of range except for this area here. This unit was shot at, or issued some fire, was shot at, but received no casualties. And I'm not sure if they did any damage to these advancing columns of Saxons and French. If they did, it was probably against that column of Saxons, which is located right there with the green dye. Right there, you can just barely see them. That unit of Saxons is down to 3 CV. And again, there's let me see, that's a fresh unit, and that's a fresh unit. These 2 units are well down to 1 CV apiece. That's all the French have locally in this area. But yes, I do remember the fact that this unit did break a unit of Saxons with its musketry fire. And I didn't mark it yet, but there it is. It's back here. It is broken and out of the game, so the Saxons did take a loss. They have lost 2 battalions so far out of their original 6. So that will force a morale check. That makes that MF shaken. So they will have to take a morale test. That'll be interesting. I believe, unless I'm wrong. I'll have to look that up. That'll be in the next turn regardless. So that's the situation, folks. The Russians are taking losses, and quite possibly so are the French, especially if the Saxons fail their MF test. So now I'm going to go into turn 8 for the French and see what they can do. Okay, folks, I finished turn 9 for the French. As you can see, it's kind of vacant up here. The French took their turn, their part of the tactical part of the turn. They did launch a close assault here with this battalion against that lone grenadier battalion that was sitting here. They did hit him in flank, and they did beat him in close combat. They were supported by this battalion as well that managed to put some musketry down on the Russian unit. Another interesting note is that because these guys hit them in the flank, the Russians were unable to put down any musketry fire on them as they charged. So they went in pretty much unmolested. Regardless, the position was taken. The 1st Division slightly moved forward to really control the heights at this point. That's Davout right there. So the heights have been claimed, at least this part of the heights have been claimed. There is no resistance from the Russians. This division was broken. Middle of the area. The cavalry had their new orders, and they shifted their units around a little bit. As you can see, you got the hussars here and here and here. There's the full strength one with their divisional commander. Their orders were now to support the 2nd Infantry Division, so they just basically moved into a position to support them. I believe the support orders require at least one of your units from the MF to be within 9 inches of the unit you're supporting, so they're totally close enough. The 2nd Division, French 2nd Division, did advance forward with their 2nd wave. Their 1st wave as well made contact. They did charge forward with both battalions in the lead. This battalion failed to make contact because of the target battalion's return fire. So this unit was halted, unfortunately, and could not get into close assault. If you remember, the Russians had a battalion here, a battery of guns, and a battalion here with Tuchkov attached. So the Russians held their ground and halted these French infantry right here. Unfortunately, over on this side, these light infantry, French battalion, did make contact and close assault this battalion and won the combat. So they were taken, and they moved forward and pretty much are claiming the objective. So that was the situation there. So they lost a unit here. Now let's go down and take a look at the farm. You can see it's just as dramatic looking down here and kind of vacant at the moment, and I'll get to that in a second. But net effect here, there was 3 battalions, I believe, protecting this area of the battlefield. I believe there's one here. There was a battalion here at this hedge line, and there was one over here, all substantially weakened. This one was the strongest at 4 CV. The French launched an assault here with their regulars. It was pretty even matched. The French did manage to make contact, and a melee was fought. Unfortunately, the French did lose that melee, and the French were forced to retire, disordered, which is where they're located right now. In addition, I believe there was a Saxon unit here, up here, that was broken this turn during the musketry. I think it was this turn. Well, anyway, it was destroyed, which was not good for the Saxons. I think that was the previous turn for the Russians. They wiped it out. But anyway, that was the results there. There was also a battalion that was sitting here, but there was no close combat. It was just at this hedge line that there was a close combat, and the Russians did win that, so they were holding their own. And that was pretty much it. Not a hell of a lot going on here. However, in the next turn, turn 9, there was going to be some divisional morale checks. One for the Saxons and one for the 1st Division of the Russians. The Grenadier Division for the Russians was already destroyed, so no need to make a morale test there. But their 1st Division, which was defending this farm area, as well as up here, which was really stretching it for them, did have to make a morale test. And it's simultaneous, and both sides made their tests. In the case of the Russians, they got a retire result with 3 CV hits. So what happened was every unit from this division had to take 3 CV hits and then retire. And I believe it's 8 inches, 9 inches for infantry. I'd have to look at the charts. But they have to retire back. And basically what happened is every unit on here, and there's 2 others here, were basically wiped out from the CV loss from the retirement. And this one as well. So they were wiped out entirely. So they won't be able to come back in this battle. This one, however, did survive the 3 CV loss. If you remember, it had 4. It retired and it has 1 left, and it's disordered 2. So that was the effect of the morale test. It wasn't broken, but it was forced to retire. And they're not going to be able to retire or rally, I should say, effectively, because the only unit able to get any CV back would be this unit. And to rally, you can only do it once an hour after the unit is broken. And in this case, the unit is not broken. It's just basically forced to retire. So at this point, it's pretty much useless. Let's leave it at that. The Russians are forced to withdraw from the area, basically. They're just not a fighting force at this point because of the failed test. Now for the Saxons, now this was a tricky one. I was thinking, what's going to happen now if them Saxons break? Well, they got a similar result to the Russian 1st Division. They got a retirement, not a broken result, but a retirement result with 2 CV hits. So every existing unit on here for the Saxons had to take 2 CV loss immediately and then retire the 8 or 9 inches. I think it's 8 inches for infantry. Again, I'd have to look it up. And they did so. Unfortunately, it pretty much broke every unit that was still on the table for the Saxons, including the guns. Yeah, so they have nothing left on the table. That division is wiped out, basically, and has nothing to rally at this point. So that was it. Fortunately, that did not cause a morale test for these guys. That would be considered an army morale test, because this unit did not break, among other things. But this division down here of French is in a position to claim this objective without any hassle, really. I don't think this unit has got any fighting capability left with 1 CV. The French unit's up here. This unit is completely fresh. This unit's at 2, and that one's retiring with only 1. Yeah, that's the situation. So I'm going to call it here. The battle was supposed to go at least 10 turns. But that pretty much is about as far as I was going to go with it anyway. Just the nature of the scenario. I don't think it would go 11 or 12. It would be pretty much decided by then. But the max I had decided would be 12. So 10 was about right. It ended it. The French basically effectively claimed everything in turn 9. So by turn 10 they would definitely control everything. All 3 objectives. So that's the battle, my friends. It has concluded, and it is a decisive French victory. What can I say? It was a very good game. Some interesting elements to it. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what you guys think. If you know how to play the rules, what do you think? If you don't know how to play the rules, what did you think? It's quite an interesting game. It's got a nice feel to it. It felt like a Napoleonic battle. There's a lot of tactical decisions that have to be made, not just the strategic tactical decisions. Really good. I had a good time. All the commanders escaped the battle unscathed, except for one. I don't remember who it was, but he was wounded. I think it was... I don't think it was this guy down here, Tuchkov. I think it might have been the Saxon commander? Oh, God, I don't remember. But anyway, one of them, one of the divisional commanders here did get wounded and would be out of the battle for the rest of the game. So that was that. Well, folks, that's about it. Maybe I'll attach some more comments later about this game. It probably deserves a full review on my part if I have the time to do that. I don't think I'll add it to this video because it's long enough as it is. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something about the game a little bit anyway. It was a really enjoyable game. Definitely had that mass look to it. Stuff going on all over. You got the farm, you got the heights, and you got the heights over here. Lots of things going on. Well, that's it. Decisive victory for the French. If I play this scenario again, I think I might put a little more pressure on the French, maybe end the game at 8 turns, perhaps. You know, that might be pushing it. But we'll see. It was a good game. Okay, folks, take care. I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you soon.